So let's summarize the Dynamat installation on a C5 Corvette. So the first problem I have the Z06 model. When I first bought it, I drove it home. There was enough road noise and reverberation happening in the cabin that after about an hour I got a headache. So I knew I had to do something. So I did my research, found a bunch of different products online, sent all that information to a friend of mine who's a noise, vibration, and harshness engineer in Detroit. His recommendation was the Dynamat and the Dynaliner. So once I knew what to do, really there's 5 steps. One is ordering the material. For the C5, I ordered 2 boxes of Dynamat, took about 1.5 boxes. I ordered 2 boxes of the Dynaliner. I used about 1.75 boxes. Next step, take out the interior trim. A lot easier than you probably think it is. Everything snaps in pretty easily, and I don't have a video on taking it out, but I do have a video on taking it in, and so you can see how easy it is to get those pieces out. All the trim pieces pretty much pop out with, they're held in with clips, so a little putty knife and a little pressure, it'll pop it loose. In some cases there's push pins or Christmas trees holding some pieces in. Very simple. Next step is actually fitting the Dynamat. Now they don't make a kit for the C5, probably because there's a lot of cutting involved and a lot of odd shapes. So the tedious work is cutting the Dynamat to fit that whole area, and I covered everything I could find. If that panel had any kind of vibration, I covered it. And really, I pretty much covered all the plastic that was in that whole tub area in the back of the car, as well as behind the seats. I didn't see a need to do underneath the seats because in my testing, my knock-on plastic testing, I wasn't getting a lot of vibration from the tunnel or from below the seats. It was all coming from that trunk area. So with the Dynamat installed, the 4th step is then putting the Dynaliner on top. And I again did the knock-on plastic test. Parts that were fairly rigid at this point, I did not put the Dynaliner on. Parts that I was still getting some vibration from, I did put the Dynaliner over. And that's a fairly straightforward process. Lay that on. It's self-adhered backing. Boom. The final step was putting in the interior trim, and that wasn't too bad. First laying in the carpet, and then installing the trim pieces. Now some of the pieces were a little tricky to get back in since I had a bigger thickness, and they're fairly well fit. And so it took just a little bit of massaging to get like the sail panel pieces in place. But other than that, it was really pretty straightforward. So really, it's not a challenging job. It's not technically difficult. It might seem hard to take out the interior trim. It's not. It might seem hard to put the interior trim back in. It's not. Actually putting the Dynamat down is the longest part because you're cutting everything and fitting everything, and you've got to make sure you've got all the grooves covered, and so that part takes a while. It's not hard, it's just long. Dynaliner, piece of cake. So the end result, test drove the car, the sound was vastly improved. I was no longer getting that reverberation. I could actually carry on a conversation with the passenger next to me at highway speeds, and I could hear the radio without turning the volume up all the way. So much improved, vastly improved actually, sound condition. So I highly recommend it, whether you've got a standard Corvette, the Z06 Corvette, or any other car. If you've got too much road noise, stick in the Dynamat and the Dynaliner, and you'll see a vast improvement.